Yeah. Hey, yikes. Glad I did that.
Hello, everybody. It's Mike Jaco and Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Can we stimulate systemic restoration from biological hacking, hijacking, from vaccines, COVID, Lyme, etc.? We're going to talk about that with Patty Greer and Chris Burris. Thank you guys for joining us again. Always look forward to these. I know, Chris, you put together some really good slides. You're a scientist and you know how to do really smart things, so I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy to come on your show because I get to be the geeky scientist that you do in fact see in front of you. So it's such a pleasure.
It is a pleasure. Yep. So
And
Navy SEAL, I could have been a scientist. So I chose Navy SEAL, but I love science. So you're the science guy for me. Thank you. And Pat, you are the other side where I'm like the conspiracy guy. So you're perfect.
Right. Well, all of our conspiracies have come true. So we're kind of like conspiracy factoids now.
Yeah.
Rather than theories. Yeah, we've kind of proven them all. And golly, Chris came up with this. And I was like, you're going to talk about that?
I know. I was like,
hey.
Wow.
I was looking for guidance, right? Because we can talk about this. You know, we got to do the appropriate kind of FDA and FTC things, and then this was a topic that that YouTube has been, you know, frankly, just straight out banned. Like, didn't even matter if you were having intelligent conversations, and I think those days we're in a much better place now.
Very good, Chris. You're right.
Yeah.
Anybody up for a shot? I've got a presentation to give, so.
I've got to keep up with you guys, so I'm going. Michael, how big is that bottle you're showing there?
It is very big. Let's see. 32 ounce.
I had a feeling you had the giant bottle. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
That's the good stuff. Well, Chris is going to do the science. And I'm going to throw down some testimonials about a lot of his factoids because I'm watching history change with my 97-year-old mom, but I'll wait till we get there. She's 96 for another month, but the video I got today just blew my mind and I'm going to brag, but I'll wait a few minutes because it's not about COVID or Lyme, but she has had a number of those other things. So yeah, I think that we kind of balance each other out. We are kind of our own little musical band here.
Very good. Yep.
Well,
now there's a lot of stuff that goes along with some of this stuff, like Lyme. You know, we don't know for fact, but you know, there's speculation that when Nazi scientists came over to America from Operation Paperclip, some of them went to an island just off the coast of New York, and they created Lyme disease. So mad scientist stuff, you know, I can't verify that. I can't say that's absolute, but there's been a lot of studies on it. I've had a lot of people on my shows that have, like, you know, researched it, and it seems pretty accurate because I remember as a little kid, Lyme was just not a thing. And that was the 60s and 70s. And I got ticks on me. I came from Columbus, South Carolina. I lived in the woods with my dogs, you know, we get ticks and pull them off, and that was it. But now it's like pretty dangerous to get a tick on you.
I'm so glad you're the one that said it because it is a conspiracy fact now. And I didn't want to be the one to bring it up, but yeah, pretty much everything we're going to talk about is man-made crap. And luckily it's all coming to the surface to be healed. So let's expose it and clean it up. We're part of the cleanup squad.
But you know, there's always a counter to this negative stuff, and you guys have done that. So we're talking about man-made stuff that's kind of not so good. And then there's those happy people that create stuff that's good for us. And you guys have done that.
Man, these glass bottles are heavy. And you got the first glass bottle. Every time I lift it, it's like, oh, yeah. Yikes.
I love it.
So certainly something that's absolutely true about Lyme. You can even think about COVID. You can think about long COVID. You can think about, you know, some reactions people are having to vaccines. It's interrupting our immune system. It's having an oxidative impact on us. It's having kind of an inflammaging impact on us. And so I want to kind of jump into here and how we see that the ESS60 molecule does a good job of helping those things, right? So we can't talk about cures, we can't talk about anything. In fact, it's a great time for me to throw in the FDA disclaimer. The FDA has not evaluated our product. It is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease. We'll be just talking about what the molecule does in the mitochondria, actually, according to the Boss theory, and how that might have downstream impacts that help people who are struggling with these particular challenges, right? So we think of Lyme disease, the triad of biological hacking. This actually does apply to COVID. The first three, there's three key things that really are downstream, which is this chronic inflammation. Right. So specifically in the case of Lyme, and I think in the case of everything else that we're talking about, there's this ability to evade the immune system, to stay resident. They talk about a number of different viruses that are still there and maybe not active. And then when they become active, that's when people experience challenges from these. But in this case, you've got this thing, this virus that's able to hide from the immune system to some degree. When you start thinking about COVID, it was creating this cytokine storm, this cellular fire, and that was where all the damage was coming from. Actually, it's not just what the virus is doing; it's the defenses system, your immune defense system's overreaction in some sense to what's going on. So you think about, again, it's evading the immune system. You've got this cytokine storm. It's creating oxidative stress. We talk about reactive oxygen species with this ESS60 molecule. We'll, of course, talk about that today and how it sits. Glutathione is the master shield, that protective antioxidant that's in the mitochondria, actually protecting you from the extra reactive oxygen species that are coming off of this inflammation, that are coming off of this cytokine storm. And then all of these have kind of downstream effects on our mitochondria. And we love to talk about mitochondria because of the Boss theory and what we believe that the molecule, the ESS60 molecule, is doing in the mitochondria. So what is the ESS60 molecule? Let's cover a little bit of the history. Let's cover a little bit of what we think it's doing, and then come back and see how that applies to the downstream effect. So it is this beautiful molecule. There's a book called The Most Beautiful Molecule. It is entirely about this ESS60 molecule. Discovered in '85, the three scientists who discovered it, Dr. Smalley, Dr. Curl, and Dr. Kroto, won the Nobel Prize for that discovery. Our lab started manufacturing it in 1991 and distributing it to research institutions around the world a full 5 years before they were awarded the Nobel Prize. This molecule has had a fascinating journey, right? Because one, it's an amazing molecule. It performs as well or better than the current best material in almost every application. So better inks, better tires, better batteries, better photocells, nothing that really makes you feel confident in the health space. And they actually, because of this shape, they thought the molecule would be toxic. So they put it in a toxicity study. And this is where the story kind of changes for the better for this ESS60 molecule. In that toxicity study, instead of being toxic, the test subjects that they gave it to, in this case, it was Wistar rats, they lived 90% longer than the control group. In fact, this slide kind of outlines what happened to these results. That is the single longest longevity experimental result on mammals in history, peer-reviewed published research. So in that particular study, there were three groups of rats. One group was given water, a control group. Another group was given olive oil, a semi-control group. And then another given the ESS60 molecule dissolved in olive oil. That was the grouping of rats that ultimately lived 90% longer. So you can see here, a typical Wistar rat lives 32 months. So of course, the water control rats lived out to 32 months. The olive oil rats lived out to 38 months. So I think this is that's an 18% extension of life by just adding olive oil to your diet. In the case of these Wistar rats, I think that's significant. I love what Dr. Gundry says. He says the purpose of food is to get more olive oil into your mouth. That is something that's really true. And so, who's not interested in 18%? Well, maybe if you're interested in a 90% extension of life. Right. So the rats given ESS60 lived out to 62 months. And there was another important piece of this particular study which is these rats didn't have any tumors, right? So they all died without tumors, which is pretty fantastic. It certainly has, some people will say, oh, cure for cancer. And I would say no. And then I would follow that with another conservative no. I will say that it does throw this molecule into the realm of being a cancer preventative. And so we think that's pretty important. How do we think this molecule is actually impacting us physiologically? The first place that we land is on sleep. Our most consistent testimonial is people take the product in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. We actually did a sleep study. So this is a crossover study where we queried people for 10 days. So they answered survey questions about rating their sleep, how easy was it to fall asleep, and they gave us the answers for 10 days prior to taking the product, and then 10 days while on the product, 10 days back off the product, and then 10 days back on the product. This is the average of the data, but it's important to note it was a small cohort, but every one of the participants reported improvements in sleep while they were taking the product. So sleep is a great place. We all know that sleep is good for your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. So if we were just improving sleep, we really could explain all of the testimonials and even the potential, some of the stuff that people struggle with when dealing with Lyme, when dealing with long COVID, when dealing with all of these things is actually getting a good night's sleep. And it's very, very important. So positive impact there. Next, from my perspective, is like, how did these rats live 90% longer? The medical community, I kind of thought about the medical community and what do they think about aging? Well, they think that aging is an oxidation and an inflammation process. We have to be really careful when talking about inflammation, but there is a peer-reviewed published research paper showing our formula to be 125 times more powerful than vitamin C. So really a valuable antioxidant. Yeah, that bottle. And it's actually operating inside the level of the mitochondria. So we'll talk about that. In terms of inflammation, we have to be really careful when we talk about inflammation. The FDA equates conversations of inflammation with the diseases of inflammation, which are also the diseases of aging. So arthritis, Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, cancer. So if I come on your show, Michael, I don't want to ruin any opportunities, right? And I share that we address inflammation. The FDA hears me claiming we cure cancer, we cure cardiovascular disease. That is not what we're claiming, right? There is so much more research that needs to go into that. And frankly, really expensive research that needs to go into that in order for us to be able to make those claims. The FDA does allow us to say that we address inflammation, at least as it relates to exercise-induced inflammation. And then the last, this is where we really land. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we're going to start having that impact on COVID and Lyme outcomes. So not the specific diseases, but on the outcomes that are happening. BOSS stands for buffering oxidative stress system. We know from peer-reviewed published research that the C60 molecule gets into the mitochondria. We also know from way back in the 90s that it can hold up to 6 negatively charged particles on the exterior of the cage. So mitochondria, powerhouse of every cell. There's between 50 and 5,000 mitochondria in every cell in your body. Except for your blood cells, which have 0, and your brain and neurons, which have 2 million. Brain fog is a thing that comes from long COVID. Brain fog is a thing that people with Lyme disease suffer with. So to have a positive impact on the mitochondria in the brain, where there's 2 million mitochondria, this all actually makes sense. Like every power source, there's a negative byproduct. In the case of mitochondria, it's reactive oxygen species. I picture these like little bumper cars, everything they run into in the body. If they're left to their own devices, they cause oxidative stress, oxidative damage, all those things that we talked about kind of in that second slide. What happened internal to the mitochondria, we actually have glutathione, which we also mentioned in that original slide, the master antioxidant, and melatonin. It's important to pause here. Melatonin is the sleep hormone, and sleep is one of our most consistent testimonials. So this makes perfect sense. So here you see the reactive oxygen species are this beautiful blue color. They're bonded with glutathione, with melatonin, so they can't run around and do damage. What happens when you stress a mitochondria? Well, let's be realistic. We're talking about COVID. We're talking about long COVID. We're talking about Lyme. We're talking about stressed mitochondria. And in this case, the mitochondria is producing more reactive oxygen species than can be managed internally by the glutathione and the melatonin. And you can see some of them are managed, right? So we have these beautiful blue, calm, reactive oxygen species bonded with either melatonin or glutathione. But you also have these extra reactive oxygen species that are now running around the body, causing this oxidative stress, this oxidative damage. And that's where the ESS60 molecule comes into play. Again, peer-reviewed published research, it's in here. We also know that it can hold up to 6 negatively charged particles on the exterior of the cage. So it's holding on to those particles so they can't run around and do damage like you see here. And then when that particular mitochondria can replenish the glutathione, can replenish the melatonin, then it can manage those reactive oxygen species appropriately. So now they've been managed without the damage that would have been caused in the case of stressed mitochondria. So pretty fantastic. So to kind of start to tie this all back together, remember chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, mitochondrial dysfunction. If we look just at chronic inflammation, this is talking about specifically the Borrelia is the Lyme disease. It's able to hide from the immune system and actually continue to wreak havoc. Creating this cytokine storm, creating additional reactive oxygen species, creating this kind of cellular fire, and the ESS60 molecule helps balance that. In oxidative stress, right? Coming off of this inflammation is this additional reactive oxygen species. And this is where the ESS60 molecule shines because it can hold on to up to 6 of those reactive oxygen species and also support the glutathione. So we don't believe that it's replacing glutathione. We believe that it's supporting it so that when that mitochondria can replenish the glutathione, then your body can do, in this case, the glutathione can do the job that it's supposed to do without bearing the damage that would have normally occurred. And then you look at mitochondrial dysfunction. Well, you think about the boss theory. It's breaking the cycle of oxidative stress, causing inflammation, causing damage to the mitochondria. It's breaking that cycle so you have some sort of path out of it. And, do we think you're going to take this molecule and cure Lyme? No. Or even cure COVID? No, we don't think that. We think this can operate as something that supports your body's own mechanisms to manage those situations so that you end up in a much better place. And just kind of to wrap this up, what might somebody experience on the product? We think of this as a 3-month kind of time frame that maps our consistent testimonial of people taking it in the morning, reporting mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. So month 1, it's focus and energy. The testimonial that I lean on here, and we have so many, but the testimonial I lean on here is that we got some product to an influencer. She took the product. That evening, she reported that she didn't finish her cup of coffee. I'll share, I used to be a 2 to 3 cup of coffee per day person. I'm now down to 1, really kind of more like a half. It's part of my, frankly, I've thought about this. Should I get rid of coffee out of my routine? But it's when I take my C60 Evo. And if I'm afraid if I get rid of that routine, then I'm not going to be consistent. I can remember back when we started bringing this product to market, if I got to 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I thought I needed another cup of coffee or I needed a nap, I could always look back and I hadn't taken my C60 Evo that morning. So really powerful there. Next is deeper sleep. Really, this is happening from the very beginning, but everybody gets a little bit more or less sleep each day. So it's hard to pinpoint, oh, I started taking this and when I started taking this, my sleep got better. No, it takes about 2 months for this. We have testimonials of people like, oh, I was taking the product for 3 weeks. I want to cancel my subscription. I haven't noticed anything. And then a follow-up 2 weeks later, hey, I noticed what I'm missing. I will never cancel my subscription again. So really, really fantastic results. And then finally, on month 3, we just get testimonials that are off the charts, right? That are things that we need to do more research in order for the FDA to allow us to talk about those. So the example I give here is my father-in-law was walking with a cane at about the 3-month mark. He stopped using the cane, started walking further. And then, of course, you start walking further, you're going to lose weight. And that's that kind of systemic benefit that we see. And that's it. Like that's ESS 60 and how it addresses the downstream impacts of COVID, Lyme, long COVID, etc.
That was amazing. These are all words that we've been really careful not to say for years. So what a gift that we can finally tell the truth about it. And I'll give you the physical of what this looks like to me, which is, I don't think I know anybody that had 2 hip replacements and flew through it like I did. And I've got a really close friend doing it in a week. And I'm telling her everything that I did. And I made sure she was up with her C60 Evo. But I said, double up now, because I stunned all the doctors. And nobody can tell. I have no limp. I have no anything anymore. And I extended it probably 2 years beyond what I should have, because I wasn't in pain. And when they saw my x-rays, they were stunned and they were like, this is not normal. How did you tolerate that level of pain? I was literally ground down on one of my hips. It was bone on bone minus, like even worse, but I didn't hurt. So again, it's only me. I can't say it's going to work for anybody else because we're not allowed to, but it was like putting great oil into an old Mercedes. I always refer to myself that way because I just kept going. And I will now brag, my mom is going to be 97 next month. And my kids are touring an RV and they went to see her in the desert. So today was the big reveal. Can she get up the stairs into the RV? And, she's pushing 97, like pushing 100. And I got the video. She's in there just like leaned back on the couch, blabbing away. I was just like, oh my God, she's just killing it. And her skin is really nice because she lets me know. She turns the bottle sideways and sends me a photo when she's running low on our face serum. But she takes our Evo every day. And there she was, like, checking it out. I don't know how she got up the stairs, but God bless her, she did. And I probably am underestimating the power of this product when I say that, because I read the testimonials, I read the comments. People are astounding us. And we're not getting conceited. We're getting concerned because we're not allowed to say those things on the air. But we pushed some buttons today and we're still live. So I'm just like, okay, America's coming around. Thanks to shows like yours, Michael, and products like ours. You're muted. Michael, you were muted. Still muted.
I think he's trying to find it.
Uh-oh.
There it is. I was down in the lower section where everybody's displayed, and was like, where? I thought it was on you down here. It's all the way up. So amazing presentation, and I think that's what carries this through the censorship, and basically claiming or stating that we can't make claims, and that's true because we haven't had you guys haven't had a study that basically the FDA goes, okay, it does this, and so you can say that. But we've had like we all talk about incredible results. I was like wiped out from my workout, and I was barely here for the show, and I took the C60. I'm like, I'm ready to like jump around again, like jump up and get down. That's what it does. It really stimulates you when things are turned off, and that's what you were talking about. As far as like, the cellular structures, oxidation, rusting, and all that. I was like, wow, our bodies, our white blood cells, like, push out bleach to like kill the, negative stuff that's out there. But it overtaxes our body because we're at war for a long time. And this is where, supplementation can come in handy and turn that stuff around and maybe do some really good for us. And so I think we're at that point where we can, through observation, because that's what science is about. We've observed a lot of people have really good results. And so we can just comment about that. And I think it's great.
Well, one amazing thing was that we all did a shot at the beginning of the show of the same formula. And Chris, I've never seen him talk that fast.
Ever. I know. I was like, whoa. minutes here.
But it takes me back to being a teen at a bar. You know, I'm like, why is that guy talking so fast? But
I may have had another shot, one more than usual before that. So it's just all combining and really going well.
yeah, that was fun. I was just like, but we all took a shot. Yeah, I used to kind of sneak the MCT coconut oil in instead of the olive because the olive is twice as strong. This is what I put in my morning coffee, so I never forget. But I always chase it with the olive oil because it is the one used in all the peer-reviewed tests that have been mentioned. And it's funny when anybody else claims that, you know, another product might deliver the 90% life extension. Whose product was delivered to the Paris University for the 2012 test on toxicity? It was ours. That's right. And it was this very formula that we haven't changed because why tamper with perfection, other than it might be a little better. And Tracy pointed out that now we have glass bottles during the last show. And I was like, how'd she get one before I got any? We love you guys, and we've been with you longer than any other influencer. But I do want to say that we are proudly delivering all of our edible oils in glass bottles now. And I can't even imagine lifting a glass 32-ounce bottle, but Michael does with these because he's a big dude. I mean, like, yeah, I've got one of the old ones, which I might just have to keep for the shows. But I do have a what is this one? 16 ounce. I mean, that's just a bad boy to lift. These things are really great quality and they're protecting what's inside, not only with glass, but with cobalt blue glass.
Yeah.
So if you accidentally leave it on a table and sun hits it, it's better not to, but keep it away from heat, direct light. Needless to say, an oven or stove, just, you know, put it in a cabinet or over there on the shelf. But it should go a good 2 to 3 years after we open it. And we do have the expiration dates on the bottom of the bottles. But this is about as good as you're going to get. And when we hear that the peer-reviewed study delivered 125 times the antioxidant value of vitamin C, that was our product. So, you know, the ESS60 is the elevation, the evolution, we should say, because we're C60 Evo, of the industrial C60, which Chris and Robert have sold for decades. Like you said, ink, batteries, tires. But that's not what we're doing for people and pets. And speaking of pets, why leave them out? We've got the same olive oil formula with a little bit of salmon essence for the cats, and dogs get bacon essence, and it's all natural, and it's only 2 ingredients plus the essence. It's the ESS60 that we make in our lab because we can't find enough in nature, but it is naturally occurring, and then the organic olive oil. And our olive oil is about as good as you can get. Chris and Robert studied to, you know, to find the best available, and we buy it from a farm in Tunisia that delivers organic extra virgin olive oil that's cold pressed. It's really, really good. And when you taste it, if you're a sissy with olive oil, which I was in the beginning, it was like, yeah, so peppery, so real. And now I'm like, whoa, you know, because I'm good at it. But I also know what it's doing for me and my mom. She just blew my mind today. I just can't wait to call after the show. But the only problem with, you know, the elders taking it is your friends aren't. So her friends can't, you know, keep up with her at all. But I think we're going to make it to 100. Nothing will surprise me. And I inherited the 18-year-old cat when the kids left in the RV with their dogs. So I've got this old arthritic cat that's now cruising around the house, purring, happy. So I'm the queen of testimonials because the only reason Chris and I are initially partners was I was like, who's making this? This stuff saved my life a few times. So once Chris and I started talking, he's like, who's the girl blabbing on the air while we're getting all these phone calls? So we were instant partners. And Michael, you've been with us since the beginning. Thank you.
Yeah, Kirsten W. turned me on to you guys, and I've been a, you know, user since. I had the old stuff that was not really good. I was just using it, and I was like, at some point, maybe it'll start to work. And I used your C60 Evo right away. I was like, wow.
Boom. Yeah.
Boom. Just like I was like a little bit down before the show, and now I'm like I'm ready to go. So I love it.
Yeah, I love sharing it with friends and family, and because we just went glass bottles, I took all my little plastic sampler bottles, and every doctor, every dentist, I'm like, I just got a gift for you. My sprinkler guy got a gift. Delivered water guy. I really like these people, and it's like, let me change your day. And they turn out to be customers later. It's not like I do it for that, but it's really nice to share it with family and friends, which is when I'm going to point out that 25% discount if you buy a case of 12 anything, any item. And we sell a lot of cases because that's a great discount. And while you're at it, there's a code for Michael on this landing page, c60evo.com/unleashing intuition. And if you go there, you'll find another code to save at checkout. But if you get a case and use Michael's code, you're going to be killing it with the price, and you'll be giving it out to people. But every family member now takes it because we want to be feeling and looking better. And I'm in love with the product, so it's easy to sell it. Chris does the science, and I just blab about what I just heard people say. And last week was my week to look into the Google comments, Google testimonials. I was stunned. I had to copy and paste like 40 of them. I hadn't been on for a few months. People are just really improving their lives and raving about it. So do check out our testimonials if you think we're just, three lucky people that are feeling good. It goes further than that.
Fantastic.
So you're showing us.
I'm glad you brought up the case sale, because you haven't done that in a while. And I remember at one time we were talking about the case sales, and people from my audience were buying more cases than anybody else. So I love it. So good.
Yeah, I forgot to mention it on the last few shows. And when one pops, I'm like, oh God, I forgot. But, people are like, sometimes they want to save money. It is the best deal. But also we have subscriptions. Chris is circling and circling. 20% off if you sign up for a monthly subscription on any item. So saving 20% right off the bat is a great thing. And a lot of, I think 70 or more % of our sales are resubscribes. To me, that's the best testimonial. What it says is, I don't want to quit. And the few people that have quit, including 84-year-old Alfred Lambermont Weber that I've done shows with for 10 years, he quit for 10 days and he came back, and now he takes, 3 or 4 teaspoons every day. And he just wrote another huge novel at 84. Wow.
He's amazing.
And they're thick, like really thick books.
I done shows with him. He's absolutely phenomenally brilliant. Amazing man.
Yeah. Well, I think all of our influencers, and I'm kind of making statements because I'm the lucky one that gets to pick who works with us. But I also listen to ridiculous number of shows. And I always find myself coming back to yours because you just rock solid. And David Nino now is working with us. Yay. And the difference in him from when we started, I swear the product is really making a difference in easing his personality, bringing him very much more balanced. Tracy, of course, said, no, he's got a great wife. So the combination of having a great wife, which both of you do, and Evo, you guys are killing it.
You know what? I have to agree with you because he does seem a lot more settled. So that's pretty interesting. Wow. Yeah. And I've known him for almost 6 years. We've done shows together. I've met him personally. He's like incredible guy. But yeah, he was like, he was all over the map, but now he seems like really calm and cool. Like, wow, it does have an effect on the brain.
Yeah. Well, when we talk about 2 million mitochondria per cell, that's so much more than the rest of the body. And we've got the pineal gland back there, which keeps us in our intuition, in our spiritual higher self. So when the brain is being cleaned, detoxified, again, I'm not being scientific, I'm doing the girl talk, but when the brain is detoxified and you've got 2 million mitochondria to work with, that's a pretty amazing statement to your brain to go, oh my gosh, like my mom, she remembers stories from when I was 12 and she can tell me their name. I mean, she is my quizzer. I go after my mom, like, do you remember when I was 15? And she's like, oh yeah, she tells me the name of the teacher. I just like stunned. She should be our promoter, and her skin looks great. Yeah.
We'll bring
If
her
I
on.
wasn't so
We'll have her do a little appearance. That'll be good. That'll be fun.
I might actually get her to do that. So
Yeah.
she has a helper that's been with the family for like 20 years. The lady's from the Philippines. Oh my God, she's so great, Tess. And she was there today. She did the video of mom in the RV. And I was just like, oh my God, I love you so much. Don't ever leave. She won't, because she's absolutely hooked on the Evo. I didn't know that Tess was the queen of Monster M headaches, monstrous ones, so bad that she would have to have a shot in her body every 3 months. Really awful. And she said, Patty, I never told you, but I dealt with it almost 5 days a week. I was like, and you dealt with my mom? Like, what? She said, I haven't had one all year since taking your product. So whenever I send my mom a bottle, Tess gets a bottle. And at Christmas, she got to try the yummy things like our facial serum. Oh, this was a fun one to get the guys at the lab. I told Chris, my skin is getting better because I'm rubbing the olive oil on my face. We got to do a serum. And of course, 3 guys in the lab are like,
Yay, that sounds amazing.
And then all 3 of them started to smell better to their wives at night, and their skin was becoming super flawless. And so, yeah, they started saying yes to pretty much everything I've come up with lately. And to make a point more amazing, we sold out of our body cream. For 3 months, we have had no C60 Evo tangerine body cream, and we just got it back. We are starting to send it out this week. But
Yay.
boy, this was not easy to come up with, because I've got a nose like a cyclone. And I was like, oh, it's going to smell so good. I got the first sample from the formulator, and I was like, oh, no, no. Oh, no, 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 no. And I wrote her, and Chris, our other partner, Robert, said, smells like the floor stuff that we clean with. And I thought, can't be. Smelled it again. I told the formulator, oh, I got to go back. You got to do it again. Chris reminded me, here comes Christmas. You got 4 months to do what's the test called?
It's a shelf stable test.
You want to miss Christmas? And I was like, yep. So we missed Christmas 2 years ago. And then I had to wait 4 months. And then I got the new sample. And that's what people are getting, is the C60 Evo Rich Body Cream with tangerine and citrus. Carolyn, thank you. Facial products. I have been missing the body cream. Yeah, Carrie Cassidy was begging for it. Zach with Red Pill's wife was begging for it. And so we finally got it back in, and it is as good as ever. So letting everybody know we are back in business with the body cream, and it is head to toe divine. The facial serum, my mom at 97, I won't say she'll get carded, but she's got some smooth skin.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. So, everybody's getting really great results from this. You go to the website and find out in the description box is the, how you tap into it. Of course, the savings that you're going to get with a case along with the code is going to, be amazing. So we're looking forward to, a lot more cases going out, because we used to do that quite a bit. And now that Patty, reminded us about that, I was like, oh yeah, the cases. Everybody did really well with the cases. So, get those cases. It's a good time to get them. So, the things are going on, in the world. We don't know what's going to happen with, the economy, with, oil or whatever. And so I think it's going to turn out pretty good, but, you never know. So you want to have a backup. Always have a backup and all the stuff you love. So that's a great way to do it.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, we love working with you, and even your picky wife. Now she's picky. She picked you. She loves our products, and she just called from the background, don't forget to send us more capsules, which we almost forgot to talk about. The capsules are great for people that travel, because they will not pull it out of your suitcase. They might ask for a few, but they won't pull it out and take it away. And I did give a 4-ounce bottle to a friend of mine, and they pulled it out of his carry-on. So I think it's 1 or 2 ounces, facial serum, no problem, 1 ounce, but you'll want to take capsules if you travel. Plus, a lot of people actually don't like the taste of oil on their tongue. Don't know why, but the capsules are great. We recommend 6 a day, which is a teaspoon, as I hold up a tablespoon because I'm hardcore. But it's really funny. There was a day last week or a couple weeks ago when I was talking to someone and I was having a hard time remembering long words, which my brain doesn't do that. And I was like, okay, at the third time this happened, what's going on? Why am I not? Oh my gosh, I forgot to put coconut oil in my morning coffee, the MCT. And it showed up that quickly with me. So, I like to think I'm intelligent, but I'm also Evo intelligent. I do get a little help from my friends. Thanks, you guys at the lab. It really does make a difference. And if you take a little much, you just talk a little fast.
Lovely. And I like the avocado oil on my salad at night. So it works out really good. It's not as intense. So it's not going to keep me awake, but it's perfect size, perfect blend. It gives it a little bit of a boost, and it's delicious.
Roseanne Barr used to claim she made avocado toast out of our avocado oil. For me, though, yeah, she would do the toast, put some avocados on it, and then drip the oil, and then a little sea salt. She would rave about her great cooking, and that was one of her morning specialties. So my issue with putting it on food is then you have to lick the plate when nobody's looking, so you don't want to waste any.
You don't want to miss a drop of it. That's true.
No, that's why I go for the spoon. And the way I started the facial serum was I wiped the spoon and did this. So yeah, that's how we started the facial serum. And even though the guys gave me a little trouble at the lab, Chris calls me a year later and he goes, okay, well, me and the guys have been playing with UTH29 peptide. I'm like, what's that? And he goes, well, we actually have an additional face serum. So it's a 2-part serum because Picky Patty said, no emulsifiers, no heavy chemicals. So the guys had to work twice as hard to put the oil in this bottle and the cream in this bottle with the peptides. Very blue, very beautiful. And when you blend it together, freshly activating your hands and put it on, you get the benefits of the ESS60 and peptides. So another great combo. We do it for hair also, which you were doing. Look at these handlebars now. Man, you just remind me of a dude on a badass Harley. I'm sorry, oops. But like, yeah, I just saw the guy with the monkey bars and I was thinking, yeah, I used to ride a Harley. Please tell me I didn't look like that. But
yeah, I put on my mustache and my eyebrows. So my eyebrows were getting really gray, and they got nice. And you see, I'm turning it a little darker in here too. So it does make a difference.
And every time I call your wife, she's like, Michael just left for the gym. It's like, God, he works out. Do you scare all the guys there when you get on it?
I don't know, maybe. So I'm just in my own zone, so maybe.
Well, you'd scare me at a gym. So onward and upward. Thank you so much.
Some people come up and tell me, I want to be like you when I get your age. And I'm like, how do you think I am? So they're usually under what I really am. So that's good. But yeah, and still impressing people, at 65. So it's good.
That's 65 awesome. Or 55?
65.
Dang, you do look good.
Yeah, that's what everybody was like. I thought you were 55. And I was like, no, I'm 65.
Yeah, I had to ask. We started Nino's show last week, and he started talking about how young we looked. So he said, how old are you guys? And I said, why don't you let your people guess, and we'll tell you at the end. And it was really nice that we did that because a lot of people were very complimentary. Yeah. And then there was the really rotten apples that said, she looks 82. He looks old. I mean, but that was only 2 people. Oh, wait, it was the same person with 2 posts. So, every now and then you get just somebody who just hates. But most everybody was like, she is not. He is not. So, yeah, it's nice to be able to. It's mainly how we feel, though, on the inside that matters. Because when we feel good, we show it on the outside. And that's why I keep a good attitude no matter what's going on out there. I'm good with God. and I'm good on Evo. And that's a beautiful combination.
No doubt. All right, guys. Thanks for coming in. Great science and great testimonials. And I always love these shows. I can hang out with you guys all day, but we have to move on and do other things in life. But unfortunately, I know Chris is going to go back to the laboratory probably. And
I get to go do more geeky things.
I love it. And Patty will be on the phone like, yeah. It's like talk, dealing and wheeling. So wheeling and dealing. So love it. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you guys got a lot out of it. And don't forget those cases. All right. So big savings. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Nano.